Alright, so today we're playing Call of Duty World War II in 2025. Believe it or not, it's now been 8 years since this game's release back in 2017. And World War II was a game that got a lot of mixed reception at first because there were a lot of issues that this game had at launch, but over time they actually updated and fixed the game to the point that it's a completely different game now than it was in late 2017. I think it was April of 2018 that they did a huge overhaul of the division system and the overall balancing of the game that made it so much more playable and enjoyable than it ever was before. So I'm just going to start by saying that if you played this game originally at launch, hated it so much, and never touched it again, and you didn't play it after mid-2018, trust me, your opinion of this game is going to be a lot different. And there are still players online in 2025, so there's a good reason to give this game another try if you want to. There are multiple lobbies of Team Deathmatch, Domination, even still, you can get some games going. The other game modes are almost impossible or very rare at the very least. But yeah, if you're on PlayStation or Xbox, you can still play this game pretty good in 2025 with no issues. Obviously, there's another version of the game, the PC version. There's a reason why I didn't include that in there, because the PC version is dead. Nobody plays it online. So if you're a PC gamer, I'm sorry, but you're shit out of luck. You should be used to that as a PC Call of Duty fan. Pretty much every old Call of Duty game is worse on PC than its console counterparts. But yeah, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, either way, you can't go wrong. You're going to have more players on PS4, but Xbox still has a very strong community. That is where this gameplay is taken from. The Xbox One version, where I'm able to get full DLC lobbies. Also, people still play the map packs. War mode, so if in case people are wondering about that, because that was a really big mode back in the day. Yeah, no one really plays that anymore. It had a lot of players as recently as 2020, 2021, but has kind of fallen off a cliff over the past several years. That because of how many players you need to fill up a lobby, it's very rare that you're ever going to be able to do that. So if you're a huge War Mode fan, sorry to say, it might not be worth playing for you then, if that's like your favorite thing about World War II. Which for me, I hated that War Mode took away from the DLC. We only got 3 maps in each map pack, and it was 1 War Mode map. I really didn't like that. And the zombies, people do still play zombies also, if you're curious about that. It actually had a pretty underrated zombies mode. So I'd say all in all, it's pretty impressive for an 8-year-old game to still have as many people online as it does. I think it makes sense, though, considering that World War II was the last classic-style Call of Duty game that plays very similar to the classic CODs. A lot more than the newer games do, 100%, because Black Ops 4 went all in with the specialists and became more of like a hero shooter. Then Modern Warfare 2019 and onward just played a lot more like a Battlefield game and less like a classic Call of Duty game. With the engine and the gunplay was completely transformed ever since then. So if you want, like, if you love the classic Call of Duty games, but you don't really have access to, like, a PlayStation 3, or you don't want to have to bother playing, like, the really, really old versions, like Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, World War II is a good option. There's no cheaters or hackers. It's the most recent game, has the most amount of players, you know, so I would recommend it for that. For the old school Call of Duty fans, especially those who didn't really play much of this or give it much of a chance back in its heyday. One thing that makes me really sad is that you can't play the Throwback mosh pit anymore. I mean, it's still available, like, on the playlist, but nobody plays it anymore. And the reason why I mention that is because it is honestly the most fun I've ever had in any Call of Duty game, because the Throwback mosh pit plays even more like Modern Warfare 2 than it does the base game of COD World War II. It brings back all the OP perks, Juggernaut, Stopping Power, Danger Close, and the balancing is just insane and unfair, over the top, but it's fun. And you could actually earn your kill streaks based off of kills you got from other kill streaks, which is not how the vanilla game works. It only counts kills you got without the kill streaks. And you used to be able to have, like, insane gameplay. Like, if you look at the channel trailer on my channel, I'm spamming the ball turret, like, I did it, like, 4 or 5 times in a row, and I ended up, like, 93 kills and 4 deaths. And all the 4 deaths were me being on my kill streak and controlling my kill streak, so I wasn't able to defend myself against the enemies that were spawning in. So I had a lot of great memories with this game. This was the game that kind of really first started putting my channel on the map. So I'm very grateful towards COD World War II, and I say it's probably one of my favorite Call of Duty games ever made, but that had a lot to do with that throwback mosh pit that people don't play anymore. They just play the base version of the game. So it's not as fun as it used to be just because of that. And that makes me a little sad, but it's still a pretty fun game. Even the regular version, the base game, is fantastic. It still holds up graphically. The gunplay is very satisfying and is overall, like, I would say a good 7.5, 8, 8.5 out of 10, somewhere in that range. That's at least just for the multiplayer. If you include the full package, I'd probably still give it like an 8 out of 10 because the zombies were really good, but not out of this world. The single-player campaign was hit or miss. But I would definitely say that COD World War II was an underrated game and deserves a lot more praise than it actually received. Kind of like Infinite Warfare, which we covered a couple of days ago, actually, on the channel. I do still have to mention the supply drop system that this game has. It is not quite as bad as Black Ops 3, but it is still pretty shitty. So that was, like, it probably honestly would have made that a 9 out of 10 if that system wasn't in there, even a 9.5 out of 10, because there were so many weapons that I wanted to get, but they were so much of a grind that I wasn't able to get them, but they were still more obtainable than the RNG system that Black Ops 3 had. But if you look at a game like Black Ops 4, where I absolutely love the gameplay of that, but I love World War II's gameplay more, but Black Ops 4's monetization system is so much better than World War II, I like Black Ops 4 more than World War II because of that. And we'll get into that probably tomorrow. I'll make my Black Ops 4 video. But overall, World War II is a pretty good Call of Duty game that I would say is not quite as good as Call of Duty World at War, because World at War, just the atmosphere of that game, despite its graphics not being as good and everything, it's just the overall immersion that you feel like you're in a World War II battle. In Call of Duty World War II, it just doesn't feel quite as good because they made certain decisions like having black women fight for the Axis and other things to not be offensive in order to be politically correct, removing the swastikas from the battle, which people are like, oh, well, you must be a Nazi if you have a problem with that. No, it's just, if you want to be true to the World War II setting, you can't whitewash the history of that symbol. So, yeah, there were some things that they did in there that I didn't like, but Vanguard is just so much worse in as far as how they just completely butcher the World War II setting in that game, especially in the multiplayer. But, yeah, overall, I would recommend Call of Duty World War II in 2025. Still holds up very well. The gameplay, the graphics, and everything still feel like a modern game experience, and still has a very strong community to this day.